What did your crush do that absolutely killed your interest? We'll be sharing some interesting and hilarious stories about people who had a crush on someone, but their interest was absolutely killed by something that their crush did. Story 1. This happened when I was in college. A guy I knew from a few classes, and considered an acquaintance, asked me out to dinner and a movie. He was cute, funny, and I totally had a crush on him. At the restaurant, he ordered the most expensive things on the menu, including appetizers, drinks, lobsters, and even dessert. When the bill came, he said, "You got this, right?" I was so embarrassed that I paid. Then I said I'd skip the movie because I wasn't feeling well, and he asked me to give him $20 for gas and for wasting his time. I didn't, and just laughed. Ugh. After that, he couldn't seem to understand why I didn't want to go out with him again. Story 2. I went to Disneyland with this guy, along with my friends and family, for an event called Damper Day. It's a day where you dress up in vintage-inspired clothing to create an old-timey atmosphere. I had done it for years with my friends, and he wanted to come along, and my mom and siblings were going for the first time too. I was really excited, as it was the first time he had ever met my family. We went on one ride with my family and friends, and then he said, "Do you want to go on a ride, just me and you?" I thought we'd come back and spend the rest of the day with them. But as soon as we were out of earshot, he started complaining about my family, and how weird it was that they were there. He wanted to be in Disneyland with me, but he knew that my family was coming, so I was confused. Then, we went on one ride together, and he started complaining about how hot it was and how tired he was. Before lunch, he wanted to go home. I was super upset, but didn't want him leaving on his own, so I just went with him. On the way home, I wish I had just let him leave, and I could have just stayed with all the people I loved. It was the first time in years my sister and my mom had been to Disneyland, and I didn't know it then, but it was the last time I got to go with my brothers before they grew up. He was just some dude I dated, not a boyfriend or anything that lasted very long. I'm still so mad at myself for letting him ruin my day, but yeah, it absolutely killed anything I felt for him, and we broke up a few days later. Story 3. We were in the process of getting together. She came over and we spent an afternoon watching movies and sitting close to each other. Glad that the bathroom was clean and tidy and I had fresh towels. Anyway, about 4 minutes later, she calls me saying she needs help with the shower. I give her a moment to get a towel around herself and knock on the bathroom door. She opens it completely naked and shows me that she's having trouble with the shower controls. So I'm kinda unsure whether to make the move or start with the controls, so I go with the flow and show her. This is hot, cold, this is pressure, this is rainforest, and this is power jets. In 5 seconds it takes me to do this, she sat in the toilet, which is kinda a weird thing cause I need to be able to make the next move, and while she's sitting on the toilet, naked with the lid open, looking all disinterested. I'm thinking, I've screwed up, then suddenly, she takes a dump right in front of me, and then another one, and I was like, I'll leave you to it. Story 4. One time, a girl asked me if I was good with kids, because she was pregnant with her ex-baby, and that she isn't good with kids. Keep in mind, this was our first date. I told her that I'm not comfortable raising a child that isn't mine, and that it's not gonna work out. After my response, she lost her shit, screaming that I was a heartless piece of shit, and that all men are the same. She looked at me like she wanted to stab me 100 times. Oh, and also, I was 16 at the time. Yeah. Story 5. I was chatting with this boy on Skype, from another province. He started telling me about his drug use, trying to impress me. Suddenly, he faked a drug overdose, right in front of me. I completely panicked, not knowing what to do, and feel like I was watching someone die. I was sobbing and trying to figure out who to call and how to help, when he suddenly just came out of it, and told me it was okay. It was a traumatic experience for me and made me question our friendship. We didn't talk much after that. Story 6. During high school, I had a crush on this girl who I thought I was sweet. Unfortunately, when I expressed my feelings, she rejected me. Despite this, I still wanted to be friends with her. However, I later discovered that she was toxic and talked negatively about me behind my back. She made fun of things that were unimportant, such as my hand motions while talking. This behavior and talking behind my back made me lose all interest in being friends with her. Story 7. I had a crush on a girl from university, and she invited me over to her place for what I thought was going to be a study session. Upon arriving, I found another classmate there as well. I assumed it was going to be a study group, but quickly, it became clear that her mom set us up for a full press MLM pitch. They showed us a video and gave us literature, trying to get us to sign up to sell their product and recruit others to sell it as well. I stayed for a while to be polite, but ultimately excused myself as soon as I could. It was a huge disappointment, and I only interacted with her briefly in class after that. For those who don't know, MLM stands for multi-level marketing, which is essentially a pyramid scheme. It involves signing on to both buy and sell product while recruiting others to do the same. The only way to make significant money is to be high up in the pyramid, so it's mostly a scam. Story 8. As a teenager, I worked as a lifeguard for a guy I had a huge crush on. One day, while we were chatting, he suddenly started talking about a random woman and he saw wearing shorts. He was fine until he noticed some cellulite on her thighs, and then he went on a long angry rant about how she should be doing squats to be more appealing. It was uncomfortable and no one else was adding to the conversation. After that, I realized he was a huge douchebag, and my crush on him disappeared. Looking back, I'm grateful he showed his true colors before I could have easily fallen for him. It could have been a bad time for my teenage brain. Story 9. On my first date with the guy, he picked me up in his car, which was a complete mess. There was trash everywhere. On the back seat, on the floor, even up front. I had to step on empty McDonald's bags, old soda bottles, and wrappers just to get in. When I mentioned it, all he said was, "Just move it around with your feet." There was no apology or attempt to clean up. It made me feel terrible, like he didn't care enough to make a small effort for our date. Story 10. I was a midnight clerk at a truck stop, and a very good-looking man came in every night on his run to visit me. He wore an ankle monitor for probation/parole. I asked about it and he told me he was falsely accused of kissing his ex-wife's daughter. She was 13. I took his word and he seemed to be a real good guy. About 2 weeks later we were bullshitting and flirting. Suddenly, a little girl about 12 years old came in with her dad. He looked at the girl up and down like a pervert. I was instantly sick to my stomach. Story 11. A girl invited me over to her place, not as a date thing, but just to hang out as friends. Her house was absolutely filthy, and the glass of Coke she gave me had hair on it. She was really cute, had a great personality, and was generally nice. But as soon as I saw cat shit on the floor near the front door, and just everything around me was dirty, my crush disappeared, and I left in a hurry. Story 12. We attempted to watch a horror movie together, but he kept rewinding the movie every time a scary scene was about to happen. He pretended to be scared and would whine about what was coming next. He thought it was a cute gesture and refused to continue watching. What should have been a 5-minute scene turned into a 45-minute production of his fake fear. This was the guy who told me he loved horror movies, but his behavior was a weird contradiction. This was the final straw for me. Story 13. This guy was the perfect epitome of the term douchebag. He used to be nice to people only to gain their trust and then betray them. He was attractive though, and a smooth talker as well. We started talking, became friends, and I developed a crush on him. Unfortunately, I never knew then what type of double-headed snake he was. Then one day, I witnessed him throwing his best friend under the bus just to save his reputation. Completely lost interest. Cut ties with him, and he gave no shit about it. Only then I realized how toxic people can be sometimes. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more entertaining stories. If you want to see more interesting and funny stories, make sure to check out the other videos that appear on the screen. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.